The Heist Part 3. The hideout was eerily quiet as Alex and Sam surveyed the damage. The stolen tech was gone, and there was no sign of Mia, Jake, or Lisa. Alex's mind raced with possibilities, but he knew they had to act fast. "We need to find them," Alex said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "Sam, check the security footage. Maybe we can get a lead on where they were taken." Sam nodded and quickly accessed the hideout's surveillance system. As he reviewed the footage, Alex paced back and forth, his thoughts a whirlwind of worry and determination. "Got something," Sam said, his eyes glued to the screen. "A group of armed men stormed the hideout about an hour ago. They took the tech and our team. Looks like they headed towards the docks." "The docks," Alex repeated, his mind racing. "They must be planning to transport the tech out of the city. We need to move, now." The two of them geared up and headed out, their cars roaring to life as they sped through the city streets. The docks were a labyrinth of shipping containers and warehouses, and they knew they had to be careful. As they approached the docks, they spotted a convoy of black SUVs parked near a large cargo ship. Armed guards patrolled the area, their eyes scanning for any signs of trouble. "Looks like we've found them," Sam said, his voice tense. "We need to create a distraction," Alex replied. "I'll take out the guards while you find Mia, Jake, and Lisa. Once they're free, we'll go after the tech." Sam nodded, and they split up, each moving with stealth and precision. Alex approached the guards, using the shadows to his advantage. He took out the first guard with a swift, silent takedown, then moved on to the next. Meanwhile, Sam made his way to one of the warehouses, where he spotted Mia, Jake, and Lisa tied up and guarded by two men. He quickly dispatched the guards and freed his teammates. "Thanks, Sam," Mia said, rubbing her wrists. "We need to get that tech back." "Alex is creating a distraction," Sam explained. "Let's move." The reunited crew made their way towards the cargo ship, where Alex was already engaged in a fierce firefight with the remaining guards. The sound of gunfire and shouting filled the air as the crew joined the fray, their skills and teamwork on full display. As they fought their way to the cargo hold, they encountered the Shadow, who stood calmly amidst the chaos, a smug smile on their face. "You really think you can stop me?" the Shadow taunted. "You're outmatched and outgunned." "We'll see about that," Alex replied, his voice steady. The crew engaged the Shadow and their remaining guards in a high-stakes battle, using their cars and gadgets to outmaneuver their opponents. The fight spilled out onto the docks, where a high-speed chase ensued. Lisa took the lead, her expert driving skills keeping them ahead of the Shadow's enforcers. Mia hacked into the cargo ship's systems, creating obstacles and diversions to slow down their pursuers. The chase reached its climax on a narrow bridge, where the Shadow's car skidded to a halt, blocking the crew's path. The two sides faced off, engines revving and tension crackling in the air. "This ends now," Alex said, his eyes locked on the Shadow. The final showdown was a blur of screeching tires, roaring engines, and heart-pounding action. The crew used their skills and teamwork to outmaneuver the Shadow, finally forcing their car off the bridge and into the water below. As the dust settled, the crew regrouped, their breaths coming in heavy gasps. They had won, but they knew the fight was far from over. "We did it," Jake said, a grin spreading across his face. "But the Shadow is still out there," Mia reminded them. "We need to stay vigilant." Alex nodded, his resolve stronger than ever. "We'll be ready. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." The crew's victory at the docks had given them a brief moment of respite, but they knew it was only temporary. The Shadow was still out there, and their plans were far from over. Back at the hideout, the team gathered around the central table, reviewing the intel they had recovered from the cargo ship. "These documents are encrypted," Mia said, her fingers flying over the keyboard. "But I should be able to crack them." do it, Alex replied. We need to know what the Shadow is planning. As Mia worked on decrypting the files, the rest of the crew took a moment to regroup. Jake and Lisa checked their vehicles for any damage, while Sam reviewed the footage from their recent mission. Looks like the Shadow has been busy, Sam said, his eyes scanning the screen. They've been making deals with various criminal organizations, expanding their influence. Any idea what their endgame is? Lisa asked. Not yet, Sam replied. But whatever it is, it's big. Mia's eyes lit up as she finally cracked the encryption. Got it. These files detail a series of coordinated attacks on key infrastructure points across the city. They're planning to create chaos and take control. Why would they want to do that? Jake asked, his brow furrowed. Power, Alex said, his voice grim. If they control the city's infrastructure, they control everything. We need to stop them, Mia said. But we can't do it alone. Alex nodded. We need allies. Marco, can you reach out to your contacts? See if anyone is willing to join us. Marco, who had been quietly listening, nodded. I'll see what I can do. But it's going to be risky. The Shadow has a lot of influence. We don't have a choice, Alex replied. We need to take them down before it's too late. Over the next few days, Marco reached out to his contacts in the underground racing scene, rallying support for their cause. The crew attended secret meetings and races, building alliances and gathering intel. One night, during a particularly intense race, Marco introduced the crew to a new ally, a skilled driver named Elena, who had a personal vendetta against the Shadow. They took everything from me, Elena said, her voice filled with determination. I'm in. With Elena's help, the crew devised a plan to disrupt the Shadow's operations and prevent the coordinated attacks. They split into teams, each assigned to a different target. The night of the mission, the crew moved with precision and coordination. Mia hacked into the city's traffic control system, creating diversions and obstacles to slow down the Shadow's enforcers. Jake and Lisa took out key supply routes, while Sam and Elena targeted communication hubs. Alex led the main assault on the Shadow's headquarters, a heavily fortified building in the heart of the city. The crew fought their way through waves of guards, using their skills and teamwork to overcome every obstacle. As they reached the central control room, they found the Shadow waiting for them, a smug smile on their face. You really think you can stop me? The Shadow taunted. You're too late. My plans are already in motion. We'll see about that, Alex replied, his voice steady. The final confrontation was intense, with the crew using every trick and gadget at their disposal. The Shadow proved to be a formidable opponent, but the crew's determination and unity gave them the edge. In the end, they managed to disable the Shadow's control systems, preventing the coordinated attacks and saving the city from chaos. The Shadow, realizing they were defeated, made a hasty retreat, vowing to return. As the dust settled, the crew regrouped, their breaths coming in heavy gasps. They had won, but they knew the fight was far from over. We did it, Jake said, a grin spreading across his face. But the Shadow is still out there, Mia reminded them. We need to stay vigilant. Alex nodded, his resolve stronger than ever. We'll be ready. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. The crew's victory over the Shadow's initial plans had given them a brief moment of relief, but they knew the battle was far from over. The Shadow had escaped, and their threat still loomed large. Back at the hideout, the team gathered around the central table, reviewing the latest intel. We managed to stop their coordinated attacks, but the Shadow is still out there, Alex said, his voice steady. We need to stay one step ahead and figure out their next move. Mia, who had been working tirelessly on decrypting more files, looked up from her laptop. I've found something. It looks like the Shadow is planning a major operation at the city's central power plant. If they succeed, they could plunge the entire city into darkness. That would create chaos, Sam said, his brow furrowed. We can't let that happen. We need to split up again, Alex said. Mia, Jake, and Lisa, you handle the power plant. Sam, Elena, and I will track down the Shadow and put an end to this once and for all. The crew nodded, their resolve stronger than ever. They knew the stakes were higher than ever, and they had to act fast. As night fell, the two teams set out on their respective missions. Mia, Jake, and Lisa made their way to the power plant, using their skills and gadgets to bypass security and gain access to the facility. They moved with precision, disabling security systems and taking out guards as they went. We need to find the main control room, Mia said, her eyes scanning the blueprints. That's where they'll be. Meanwhile, Alex, Sam, and Elena tracked the Shadow's movements through the city. They followed a series of leads, each one bringing them closer to their target. The tension was palpable, each member of the crew focused and ready for the final confrontation. As Mia's team reached the control room, they found it heavily guarded. They engaged in a fierce firefight, using their skills and teamwork to overcome the guards. Mia quickly hacked into the control systems, working to prevent the power plant from being sabotaged. We're almost there, Mia said, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Just a few more seconds. Jake and Lisa provided cover, taking out any remaining guards and ensuring Mia had the time she needed. Finally, Mia managed to disable the sabotage protocols, securing the power plant and preventing the city from being plunged into darkness. We did it, Jake said, a grin spreading across his face. Good work, team, Mia replied. Now let's get out of here. Meanwhile, Alex's team had tracked the Shadow to an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. They approached cautiously, knowing this would be their final showdown. Inside the warehouse, the Shadow stood waiting, a smug smile on their face. I knew you'd come, they said, their voice cold and calculating. This ends now, Alex replied, his voice steady. The final confrontation was intense, with the crew using every trick and gadget at their disposal. The Shadow proved to be a formidable opponent, but the crew's determination and unity gave them the edge. In the end, they managed to corner the Shadow, forcing them to surrender. The Shadow's mask fell away, revealing a face filled with anger and defeat. You think you've won? The Shadow spat. This is far from over. We'll be ready, Alex replied. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. As the dust settled, the crew regrouped, their breaths coming in heavy gasps. They had won, but they knew the fight was far from over. We did it, Elena said, a grin spreading across her face. But the Shadow's network is still out there, Sam reminded them. We need to stay vigilant. Alex nodded, his resolve stronger than ever. We'll be ready. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together.